Imagine this. You spent years, maybe decades, building your family tree. Hundreds, perhaps even thousands of names, dates, and stories, all carefully entered into your genealogy software. And then someone says, hey, you should add that to FamilySearch. It's free and millions of people could help you fill in some of the gaps in your information. Great idea, but how? How exactly would I go about doing that? Well, this is where the GEDCOM file format comes to the rescue. And if you caught my last episode on uploading a GEDCOM to Wikitree, you already have a bit of background on this important file format. You can click this link up here if you want to get more information on the GEDCOM file format, its strengths and weaknesses, and important use cases. Now, while Wikitree and FamilySearch have a lot of similarities, most notably, each of them focuses on building one single global family tree, the GEDCOM process is different. And FamilySearch has one significant limitation that may catch you off guard if you're not expecting it. Don't worry, I'll explain what that limitation is and how you can work around it. But today, we're going to look at uploading your GEDCOM file to FamilySearch on Family Tree 123. Hey, welcome back. And if you're new to the channel, a warm welcome to you. My name is Jonathan. I'm a retired pastor, a lifelong researcher, computer nerd, an avid genealogist, and I've made this channel to help you discover your ancestors, tell their stories, and leave a lasting legacy to pass down for future generations. Today we're tackling GEDCOM uploads to FamilySearch. This is one of the most common questions I get from viewers who are just getting started with this incredible platform. All family historians owe a debt of gratitude to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints because they own and operate FamilySearch. And they're the ones who also developed the GEDCOM file format way back, starting in 1984. They literally set the standard for transferring genealogical information from one software application to another. Today, GEDCOM is the industry standard, and all family tree applications, whether online or on your desktop, will support GEDCOM file transfers. And if you aren't using FamilySearch, you really need to start. It's one of the most widely used family trees in the world, and it's free. But here's one surprising limitation about FamilySearch that may catch you off guard. You can only upload GEDCOM files using this online application. There's no download button or process that allows you to get your GEDCOM data back out of FamilySearch directly. And you may be thinking to yourself, but wait, didn't you just say that FamilySearch invented GEDCOM and now they don't even support it themselves? This is an outrage. I want my money back. Oh, right. It's a free service. Well, okay, forget about the money, but why don't they fix it, this obvious omission on their website? Well, truth be told, preventing downloads is the fix. Let me explain. You see, this isn't a flaw. It's a design choice that reflects the nature of FamilySearch's collaborative family tree. Once your data merges into that massive shared tree, it's no longer just your data. It doesn't belong to you. Other researchers may have added to it, corrected it, or linked their ancestors to yours. It becomes part of a living, breathing communal record. And FamilySearch is responsible for guarding the integrity of that data and the privacy of the people on behalf of the whole community, not just you and me. So you can export data from FamilySearch, but only by using authorized desktop software. That is, third-party programs that connect to FamilySearch through their official API, or Application Program Interface. And this controls the way the information is exchanged back and forth. Several desktop software applications, including RootsMagic, Legacy Family Tree, and Family Tree Maker, can sync with FamilySearch and pull data back to your computer in a controlled, accurate way. We'll look at desktop software in future episodes. For today, we're going to focus on uploading a GEDCOM file to FamilySearch. But first, cue the legal. FamilySearch is a trademark of FamilySearch Intellectual Reserve, Incorporated, and is not affiliated with this channel in any way. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, enough of that. Here we are at FamilySearch.org. I'm already logged into my account. And from the top header menu, click on Search. And from the drop-down list, go down and select Genealogies. Scroll all the way down to the very bottom of the Genealogies page until you see How is FamilySearch Genealogies different from FamilySearch Family Tree? Click the button labeled Upload Your Individual Tree. This opens a new page to guide you through the steps to upload your tree. Select the button, Upload to Genealogies. Click the Choose File button and navigate to where your GEDCOM file is saved on your computer. Select it and click Upload. Now give your tree a clear, recognizable tree name, and then type out a short description explaining where your research comes from. Finally, click Upload. Once your file is uploaded, click Compare. Your file will appear under the My Uploaded Trees section at the bottom of the screen. And depending on the size of your file, it may take some time. Once the status shows Ready, you will see a link to view your GEDCOM file profiles. Now, FamilySearch has run your database against its multi-billion person global family tree to identify potential matches. So it's time now to get working on reconciling your family information. When you click View, you'll see the screen with your uploaded family tree name at the top left. Mine is called Mills Family from Reuben Mills. Immediately below the title, it shows the details. In this example, there are 18 individuals and 1 potential match. There are 13 people to add to the family tree and 4 people already in the family tree. And there are no profiles that are invalid or living persons, which cannot be added through a GEDCOM upload. This default view includes all 18 individuals. If you scroll down, you can see the whole list with the indicators next to their names. A triangle indicates a potential match, a plus sign indicates someone who can be added to the tree, and a check mark indicates that this person is already in FamilySearch and has been added to the family tree. But let's look at the potential matches in the left column. This calls up the profile of Felix Mills, born 1795. And because this is a possible match, we can now see the existing FamilySearch profile, Felix from the GEDCOM file here in the left column, and Felix, the existing FamilySearch profile, is in the right column. The first part of this process is to determine if the profile is a match or not. So go ahead and scroll down and compare the details to see if the vital information is the same or within reasonable variance. The birth date, as you can see, is 5 years apart, and that's not a great start. But the FamilySearch profile has a death date, so at first glance it appears that the FamilySearch profile is more complete. So is this a match or not? If we select not a match, the GEDCOM profile will be ignored and no changes will be made. But I'm pretty sure this is a match, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes, it's a match. Now the software shows a green check mark at the top of the page to indicate that it has been added, and we now have the opportunity to update this individual based on the GEDCOM file data. We do this by scrolling down, and if the information in the GEDCOM file is more current or more complete, we can click the Replace button to overwrite the information in the current FamilySearch profile. I don't see any information that needs to be updated, so basically, we're done. Now let's go over to view the profiles that are already in Family Tree. Right at the top of the list, we can see Felix Mills has already been added, and you can see that there are no longer any potential matches. So that's good. Now let's have a look at Lewis Mills. His birth date is off by 1 year. That's reasonable. Also, we can see that the GEDCOM file has a month in addition to the year of birth. This suggests to me that this source is a little bit better, so I'll hit this Replace button, and the software shifts it over to the right column. When we have finished our edits and press the Save button, this information will be updated in the profile. Now we keep going. The death date is the same, and everything else looks fine, so I'll scroll up to the top and click Save. And now I can add a reason for the update, so future genealogists will know why these changes have been made. And then hit Continue. Now let's have a look at the profiles listed under Add to Family Tree. These GEDCOM profiles did not match any existing FamilySearch profiles, so we are invited to add them. Let's quickly look at Martha Mills. Since there's no match in FamilySearch, we only have the GEDCOM information in the left column. So if we go ahead and select Add, a profile will be created for Martha Mills. This new FamilySearch profile will appear in the right column. If we select the profile, we can see that all of the information from the GEDCOM file is included, and it clearly indicates that the information is based on a GEDCOM file upload. Now, you'll want to go ahead and add source information as you have it, since unsourced profiles are not considered reliable, and GEDCOM files are not necessarily reliable sources. Also note that this profile is not linked to other family members in the GEDCOM file. And you can quickly remedy this by adding relationships by copying and pasting the IDs for other family members. Now let's go ahead and look at David Mills, born 1732. After reviewing the data, I'm going to add David Mills as well, but I happen to know that there is already a FamilySearch profile for David Mills in my family tree. Nevertheless, just for the sake of illustration, I'm going to add this GEDCOM profile. Now, at this point, let's just hit the pause button for a moment. My GEDCOM file is tiny. It's just 18 people. Your GEDCOM family tree may have hundreds, perhaps even thousands of profiles. This may require you to divide it up into smaller subtrees using the export function in whatever software you're using. And most importantly, once you upload your file, you should dedicate quite a bit of time to working on this reconciliation process. This step-by-step process will ensure that all the profiles are fully integrated into the FamilySearch family tree and supported by sources for accuracy. Now, you don't have to do all of this in one sitting. I recommend you plan on working on it in a systematic way, keeping track of your changes and your to-do list as you go along. So, when you're ready to jump back in for more, go ahead and sign into your free account, and we'll just navigate back to this again. We go Search, Genealogies, scroll to the bottom of the page, upload your individual tree. It's okay, you don't have to do it again. Once you get to this page, at the bottom you'll see your uploaded trees. You can click View, and you'll be right back in this reconciliation window again. Now, when I added David Mills, born 1732, a minute ago, you will recall that I mentioned that he already has a profile in my family tree. I'm not sure why FamilySearch didn't identify this as a potential match, but it's probably because there are many old GEDCOM files for this part of the Mills family in circulation. And these files contain a wide variety of birth and death dates, which makes it difficult for the software to identify the connection. So I'm going to select David's name in this already in family tree list, left-click his ID number to copy it to the clipboard, and now I'm going to navigate back to my family tree. And because I know where I'm going, I can quickly find David Mills's profile. I'll just select it in the tree, then click on Person to open his profile for a closer look. Right away, we can see that the system has now identified this new David Mills as a duplicate profile. We copied the ID number, and now we can see that this is in fact the same person, P6NQJS6. So let's go ahead and merge this duplicate profile. Just click Possible Duplicate, then Review Merge. And here we are. We have this new duplicate profile in the left column, and the existing FamilySearch profile for David Mills UEL in the middle column, which is called the main person. And the final result in the right column, which will be the data and profile details preserved after we've made any changes. Now we can go down through the details looking for the best information to retain. For example, here's the birth date and place. FamilySearch highlights that there are inconsistencies. There's at least 366 days separating the dates. But more importantly, we can see that the existing record has one source attached to it. So we should probably stick with that date. The death date is, oh, that's weird. Someone has not been able to decide based on the evidence and instead inserted a range of dates. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. The proper way to do this would be to say after 1791 or before 1829. It shouldn't be a range like this. I'm inclined to go with the duplicate person death date, but I'll need to look up my sources before making this change. Scanning down, most of the existing data is better in the existing person, so I'm just going to proceed with the merge. And here, FamilySearch has provided this last step with checkboxes where you can indicate why you believe the two parties are a match. And I'm going to select name, death, despite the incorrect range of dates, and burial and spouse matches. Finally, click Merge again, and the profile is updated, and we get this confirmation message that the merge has been successful. We can confirm that the sources and other key information have also been preserved, and that, my friends, is how this GEDCOM process works. Follow these steps and you'll be able to upload your precious family tree data to one of the most powerful genealogy databases in the world, and it's all for free. Stepping into a shared environment like FamilySearch can feel like a massive leap if you're not already using the service for your family research. But when you utilize the power of the GEDCOM file, you can safely add your hard work and make significant contributions to this amazing global family tree. If you found this video helpful, you can encourage my work by hitting the like button. And hey, why not subscribe? That way you won't miss any of these practical genealogy tutorials as they are released. And if there are topics you'd like to see me cover, by all means, just leave a note down in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.